Welcome back, guys and girls, to Dad's Toy Garage. We're working on Project Judith Ann today, and we're doing another round of trim pieces, and we're doing some blackout painting on a couple parts. So let's get into this, let's have some fun, and let's get her done. Got B-pillar vents here. They're also an air vent into the car. They used to have their chrome, and then they had black inserts, and I've been kind of putting these off because I just don't think the black's going to stick. It's always the first thing to let go off of chrome, but I also didn't want to vinyl wrap it. It's too intricate. So my thought is on these guys, we're going to start by polishing all the surfaces with Mother's Megan aluminum polish. My favorite polish is, if you haven't guessed, it's in a lot of videos for this type of work. So we'll polish the surfaces, then my thought is if I mask off the tops, you can see it's got a nice spot for a cut line here. So mask those off and give it a bit of a scuff, rough it up, hit it with epoxy primer. And I think that's the best thing I could get to stick to it. Then hit it with a semi-gloss black and cross our fingers that that's going to hold. I'm not sure what else will. I think from factory they would have originally been an etch primer paint type thing. You can see a little bit of remnants of black that used to be on there. So I'm going to give it a shot with these and see if we can make something of them. Hand polish is done on the tops of those that are going to stay polished. And it only makes sense now to clean these with a chemical cleaner, the Pre-Clean 900 that I used to paint the car over there before we did the paint. Get the contaminants off, because when I start sanding, I don't want to work any of the polish deeper into the scratches and risk any less of a chance of adhesion that it's already not going to have. So get those cleaned up and I'll do some masking, playing, and see if I can figure out a system here. It's very tedious work, but it's getting there. This one is sanded. I actually ended up going up to 120 grit paper and then finishing it off with Scotch-Brite. So we're going to tackle this guy now, and there's no way shine is going to stick to that. This is chrome, and the chrome is actually very hard on everything. It don't last very long, and including these blades, I think I went through 4 of them just to trim this guy up here. Got both of these sail panel vents prepped, ready for primer. And I think I'm going to throw in a couple extra parts. The front filler panel between the front grille and the bumper, we'll do that at the same time. It's going to be the same color. That way I can mix up primer for just one shot. Chrome, cowl vents, filler panels for the front, and rear B-pillar parts. These are all going to get an epoxy prime and a black semi-gloss coat of paint. And that'll bring us that much closer to having all the parts painted that need to get painted that aren't engine related. Working on the cowl vents here, they are 50-year-old plastic, so they're brittle. The spritzer nozzles went through here and they were cracked here, here, and here on this piece, and I was managed to glue it. This is a fast set. It gets stuff like crazy glue and CA glue to dry instantly. And what I had was just bought a small little thing of Permatex Ultra Bond super glue. It's holding nicely, so we can fix this. I did the same on this guy here. There was a break, so we fixed him. Still have to be careful with it, and one of these had one more right here. So we're going to do the same thing right here, see if we can get her straightened out. I think what I'll do is I'll sand these, I'll hit it with plastic adhesion promoter, and then we'll prime it and black it like we're doing everything else. Got this piece sanded, and what I'm having here is these parts were sandblasted. They had a lot of surface rust on them. Then I epoxy primed them, they sat for a while, and I ended up doing the body work in the car and painting it. So I'm going back and I've body filled wherever there was rust pitting, and I'm going to block it out kind of like I did this guy here. We'll prime it again, and they're going to be semi-gloss black on my car. These are those filler panels, and the reason is it gives a little more depth to the front of the car. It looks a little more aggressive, which I like that. Originally they were like an argent silver. That's the best I can describe it because I know, which is the wheel color from old GM muscle cars. But we're going with semi-gloss black. And the nice thing is if I don't like it and I really decide I want silver later, it's very easy to undo these and paint them up again. I have both headlight trim rings here, and the first step is polishing, which I've done here. The next step is going to be masking, and we'll just show you the Mother's Megan aluminum polish again. My favorite polish. It took off all this hazing on here. They were dulling up pretty good already. So we're going to polish this guy yet, just like this one, which came back really nice actually. And then we'll mask them off, give it a bit of a scuff, and then I'll paint it with epoxy in the black like the rest of the parts. I've masked off the chrome parts, and I've pre-cleanoed it with the painting pre-cleaner. And I don't want to strip the paint off of here because what's holding is held for 50 years, and they have some sort of special primer that's got it to stick. It's not perfect, like there are some edges coming loose on it, but like right here, there it is, I was looking for it. But I think I'll scuff it up gently and we'll just epoxy prime right onto that, and that's the best adhesion I know how to give it. So we got a bunch more parts I want to get painted. I think I'm going to start with the plastic parts, get those done in plastic adhesion promoter, then I'll hit everything with epoxy primer, and after that I'll be going with the black, semi-gloss black, and I'll probably be using a Duple-Colour. I've had it actually hold out really well. I use this stuff on a set of wiper blades, and it was on my daily, my Subaru Impreza, and that was on there for a couple of years, and this car will be sitting in the shop more than it'll be sitting outside. That car was outside. So let's take a look at what we're going to get done and what products we'll be using. So I've cleaned everything with Pre-Clean 0900. I've just cleaned these with the plastic. I cleaned them with the plastic 2319S. They're dried up. I'm going to spray it now with plastic adhesion promoter. I'll show you that product here. 2330S plastic, and that's by Chromax. And I think I have enough epoxy to get everything done here. It depends on my hardener level, but we're using Shopline/Omni. They've kind of changed the labels in between, but it's all compatible. And after that, this is the Duple-Colour engine enamel I was telling you guys about. It dries a semi-gloss black. It's low gloss black DE1634, and that's what I'm going to be finishing these parts off with. I've had good luck with it in the past, and that's what we're going to use today. All the parts are done in primer, that is, and next we'll be putting on the semi-gloss black. And I got some of the parts painted, and some I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I'll show you which ones in a sec. Some I want to get unmasked while the primer's soft enough that it won't peel off the chrome. And the other ones I want to let cure up a little bit more because they gave a pretty good wet coat. So let's take a look at that. So I got these painted. They're done. Nothing needs to be done with them, the Cal vents. These ones I painted today because I want to unmask. And these ones I painted today because I want to unmask. Because it's on chrome, I don't fully trust the adhesion on the edges, but I want that primer to set up hard. So we're going to unmask those. They're drying up pretty nice already. You can see they're a little bit wet yet. Probably the perfect time to unmask them. These guys I flooded out a little bit more. And we're going to hit them with semi-gloss tomorrow. And then I think our semi-gloss parts are done. These came out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with them. And same with the headlight bezels. So now we cross our fingers that the paint sticks to the chrome long term. So I'm doing a little wet sand here on the front filler panel pieces. I got a bit of a guide coat on there, and I'm going to hit them with 400 grit. There was still some stuff I wasn't happy with, so too many imperfections, so I'm just going to hit them now with a little wet sand. I did a 320 black sand on the key areas, so we'll get her done now. Then when the black's gone, I'm ready to put on some paint. Alright, I've just finished wet sanding these in 400. They're the front filler panels. Now I've cleaned them with the Pre-Clean 900. And the next thing I do is flip them all over, paint the backs, let them dry a little bit, and then we'll flip them back and paint the top after we give it a bit of a tack. So that's the next process, and we won't be doing that in the shop because the car is painted and sitting in here. I got those parts painted for the front filler panel. and they look super. I'm happy with the finish. I think it will really help tone down the front of the car a lot and not have that piece stand out so much. Tie in that GT grille really nicely to the car. So let's take a look at those parts. So here those guys are. I think the sheen is perfect. I'm happy with it, and they're gonna look good on the car. I went to go install these, and then I remembered there are some vents with flaps that go behind them. They're rubberized pieces, so some of the ones I have are no good, but these are the better of the two set, and they'll bolt in to the behind those parts. Now my issue is these I think are supposed to stay tight. They're a bit of a piece of rubber that just keeps it sealed and lets the air out, but I think you have to have them tight so it's not so drafty on a cooler day. So what I'm gonna do is take them as a pattern, and I just picked up this from Canadian Tire. It's just a rubber mat, and I've picked up a staple gun so I can restaple them onto here. I'll just lay this on there, transfer the pattern, and we're good to go. Here's my new and old piece. This one's a little thicker, but it's also corrugated on the bottom, and I chose to put the corrugation, the part where it's not corrugated, into the top here, and that helps hold this open. I'll show you what I mean in a sec here. So there, it's once it's stapled on, it'll hold itself nice and tight like that. Just like that, we have a new flap in there, and should be good for years to come. And I gave her one extra staple in the middle just to make sure, because we won't be accessing that part of the car all that often. So both of these B-pillar vents now have new rubber in there, and just taken out of a brand new piece of $9 matte material. Backside is like that, but it should work nice. You can kind of see it's in there. So I'm ready to install this part now. It will get slid on and bolted in through the backside. What I am going to do is put a little bit of seam sealer on each one of these spots where it goes in. Probably on this guy itself. That way we don't get water leaking into the cabin through this point. The rest is all sealed off nicely with rubber. We might as well have this match. There we go, seam sealed. Then we got it bolted in through the back side. Cell panel vents installed, and they look super. That really sets off this car quite nicely. Well, it feels really good to have this trim done. It means we're getting a little bit closer to being done all the exterior stuff on this car. I'm still waiting on chrome bumpers and stuff like that. The back one is actually in the chrome shop right now, getting worked on. So in terms as far as trim is going, the next couple videos I'm thinking are going to most likely be stereo install. I've been working away at that for the last little while and getting some footage recorded for that. So it's either going to be next week or the week after. We're going to have a bit of a 3-part series. So I'm pretty excited to bring that to you. The stereo is actually shaping up pretty awesome, and it's looking pretty neat. So if you want to know when that video is coming out, just hit that bell, get yourself a notification, and as always, have some fun in your shop and get some stuff done. And we'll talk to you later.